One of the most important difficulties facing evolutionists as they seek to keep Darwin's theory alive and well is the absence of any fossil that can possibly be portrayed as an intermediate form. Ever since the theory of evolution was first proposed, despairing evolutionists have many times resorted to producing their own fake fossils. Yet these efforts have always ended in utter failure. One such instance was a fossil exhibited for 116 years as a supposed intermediate form in the Museum of Wales. In 1884, an evolutionist collector by the name of Samuel Allen donated an intermediate form supposedly proving evolution to the Museum of Wales. Museum officials imagined that this fossil, given the name Ichthyosaurus, was a perfect example of marine reptiles. In 2000, the fossil had to be removed for general maintenance, during which time it emerged that the fossil was a fake. Yet hundreds of thousands of people who had visited the museum in the meantime had been convinced that the fossil represented evidence in favor of the theory of evolution. A report published in BBC News Online on December 8, 2000, announced this fossil, which had been displayed as supposed proof of the evolution for 116 years, was actually a hoax. The dolphin-like creature in question had actually been produced by putting two different marine creatures together. Experts revealed that the skull and bodies had actually been buried in two different types of rock. The skull belonged to a species known as Ichthyosaurus communis, and the body to another sea creature by the name of Leptonectus phenorostris. Other bones had been made from plaster and stuck inside the rock in order to give the impression that they were genuine, and one of the fins were also a fake. Yet for some reason, just like this one, every fake fossil alleged to constitute evidence for evolution has been displayed for years in museums. Another feature these fossils have in common is that nobody has confirmed whether or not they are genuine. Museum conservator Dr. Caroline Butler reports that despite her many years in the profession, she has never come across such a thing happening, and that it was a complete forgery. When the plaster started crumbling and we stripped off 5 layers of paint, we found it was an elaborate forgery. It was an amalgam of 2 different types of Ichthyosaurus, plus a clever attempt at fake parts. Over the course of more than a century, hundreds of thousands of people were deceived by a hoax fossil manufactured by evolutionists. Yet this was neither the first nor the last of such evolutionist frauds. Ever since the time when the theory was first launched, the absence of any evidence to support it has been a major factor propelling, encouraging evolutionists to commit such frauds. In this series concerning the false proofs of evolution, we have seen how Darwinists have had no qualms about resorting to all forms of deception and fraud, in an attempt to prove in their own eyes their lies true. We have witnessed how evolutionists, who will stop at nothing in order to achieve their aims, have produced fictitious illustrations, carried out misleading experiments, have deliberately distorted the fossils and skulls they have discovered, deliberately altered the fossils in their possession, adding to some and concealing others, and even placed a human being in a cage in order to provide evidence in support of their theory. Evolution is a theory whose scientific mask has now fallen, a deception based on brainwashing, propaganda, and fraud. There is only one aim behind the efforts to prop up a theory so far from being scientific, that puts forth the lie that all things, living or otherwise, human beings, animals, plants, the earth, the sun, the galaxies, in short, the entire universe emerged as the result of chance. That aim is to provide a supposed scientific foundation for the materialist and atheist system that denies Almighty God and His creation. The fact is, however, that modern science has shown that it is impossible for a single living thing, or even a single protein molecule in it, let alone the universe itself, to have come into being by chance. Everything large or small around us, visible to us or not, every animate and inanimate thing, emerged to the creation of Almighty and Omniscient Allah, Lord of all things. This reality, which only believers possessed of reason and conscience can truly understand, is revealed as follows in the verses of Allah. I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed Satan. Allah is He who splits the seed and kernel. He brings forth the living from the dead, and produces the dead out of the living. That is Allah. So how are you perverted? It is He who splits the sky at dawn, and appoints the night as a time of stillness, and the sun and moon as a means of reckoning. That is what the Almighty, the All-Knowing, has ordained. It is He who has appointed the stars for you, so you might be guided by them in the darkness of the land and sea. We have made the signs clear for people who have knowledge. It is He who first produced you from a single self, then from a resting place and a repository. We have made the signs clear for a people who understand. It is He who sends down water from the sky, from which we bring forth growth of every kind, and from that we bring forth the green shoots, and from them we bring forth close-packed seeds, and from the spades of the date palms date clusters hanging down, and the gardens of grapes and olives and pomegranates, both similar and dissimilar. Look at their fruits as they bear fruit and ripen. There are signs in that for people who believe.